Have you ever asked yourself the following question? What will our life look like in 1,000 years? It seems bizarre to even pose the question, what will the world be like in 1,000 years? Given how drastically it has changed over the past 100 years, however, inquiring minds do wonder, and some individuals, such as Ray Kurzweil, regarded by many as the modern-day Thomas Edison, devote their entire lives to seeking solutions. Because we surpass our past evolution and countless science fiction films attempt to depict what humanity will look like in the future, it is tough to imagine what we will appear like in 1,000 years. This video attempts to give a glimpse into what the future of this world could be and what our life would look like in about 1,000 years. So, let's dive into this piece. We can undoubtedly expect unforeseen changes to the world in the next 1,000 years. Ironically, looking back at history and believing that historical patterns will remain in the future is arguably the greatest approach to forecasting the future. This makes some unexpected predictions, even if we're preoccupied with our past and ought to understand it clearly. Humans have a history of falling into the same trap. For example, 1. We started to establish a capacity for consuming cow milk some 10,000 years ago. 2. A human's average height had increased by 10 cm 150 years prior. 3. The typical human life expectancy has grown by 20 years in the past 65 years. 4. The poverty line has fallen by 50% in the last 20 years. This only highlights our potential, and even more intriguing is that there is still a ton of untapped potential. We barely use 10% of our brains, according to some researchers. If that is even remotely true, imagine what we could do with the remaining 90%. To get a sense, consider what life looked like 1,000 years ago. In that era, modern humans had not yet evolved technologically, and the world's most advanced technologies were some kind of weapons. We are already observing a blurring of the lines between biological and artificial entities on shorter timelines. Humans may be able to answer specific significant physics problems, but doing so will probably generate additional queries. There's a good chance that people will figure out how to manipulate matter and energy in completely different ways, which could lead to unthinkable progress. Michio Kaku, American theoretical physicist and futurist, is writing about 3 types of civilizations, Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3, which will have master planetary, stellar, and galactic forms of energy, respectively. Currently, we're not even Type 1 civilization, but we're progressing towards it faster and faster as we're now better than ever at energy manipulation. But what about the Earth, you may ask? Well, people frequently consider planet Earth and the damage we are doing to its oceans, forests, and ecosystems when they think about what the future might hold. Which areas will be submerged by the sea as it rises? How can a population that is expanding quickly be supported in terms of food, fuel, and environmental assets in light of climate change? Several naysayers predict disaster as many people doubt humans will live for another 1,000 years. The Earth's resources are being sucked up by material greed quicker than they can be replenished. The future seems quite gloomy, but Ray Kurzweil thinks technology will help address many environmental issues. Namely, the world's population is predicted by some researchers to reach 14 billion in 1,000 years. Even though such predictions are unlikely to come true, population increase is still a concern, and an increasing number of people are working quickly and diligently to find solutions. Will modified food eliminate hunger and meet the world's expanding food needs, or will it ultimately be detrimental to human health and the environment? In the future, when sustenance will get absorbed similarly to how plants absorb sunlight, humanity will rely less and less on the Earth's natural resources. So having said that, Let's try to move on to space travel and discovery. Whether it is due to the limitations of the Earth or our genetics, humanity has not kept its feet planted on the ground. It is constantly on a journey to learn about and discover our planet and the universe beyond it. So, what will happen to space travel and discovery in the next 1,000 years? We will have a significantly more extensive map of the universe. We would be able to forecast celestial phenomena that could impact the Earth in the coming and the effects those events might have on humanity. The primary goal of space travel, however, is not just to learn more about how the cosmos functions, but also to find new and intriguing planets that could be able to harbour life should unfavourable circumstances arise. One of the most well-known scientists in the world, Stephen Hawking, has cautioned that humanity will not endure another 1,000 years on Earth unless the human species discovers another planet to live on. Elon Musk thinks mostly the same. We should be extremely cautious in the upcoming decades since, according to Hawking, self-sustaining human settlements on Mars will not be possible for another 100 years, even without considering climate change's consequences and pandemics spurred on by antibiotic resistance. We may soon be engaged in combat with opponents that we are unprepared to handle. Not to forget the nuclear arsenals of warring states, and especially artificial intelligence. The potential advantages of human-level artificial intelligence for society are difficult to predict, and the potential costs of improperly designed or applied AI are also difficult to fathom, and that's just the beginning. We need a fallback option, which is the reason why Hawking's 1,000-year deadline to extinction has a disclaimer which is following, and quote, "If we have another planet in the solar system to launch to, we could be capable of surviving our follies." So to conclude, since all humans share a single genetic continent, the planet's population is mingling and no longer reproducing within specific cultural or racial groups. It is hypothesized that over time, the human species will resemble one another more and more, eventually averaging out all the current variations in physical attributes. These future views are indeed huge enough to colour your thoughts and brighten up a world where space, time, and potential encircle us all on each side, regardless of whether you adhere to science, visionaries, conspiracy, or simply the small things. So, what will life look like in the next 1,000 years? Basically no one knows, but we have many different clues, and it is interesting to contemplate on different ideas and possibilities, even if some of those possibilities lead to complete distinction of humanity and perhaps our planet. And having said all that, let's finish with one wonderful quote by Max Planck. It goes something like this: "We have no right to assume that any physical laws exist, or if they have existed up until now, that they will continue to exist in a similar manner in the future.